Sean, thank you, and it's so good to see all of you here today. Sean mentioned $103.2 billion, and it is a great time to be able to say that. We announced that at the Got to Be NC Festival, and the sign was, "We did it." And we is everybody that is involved in agriculture and agribusiness in North Carolina, but the people, the main we's are the people that are the farmers and the agribusiness people that quite frankly have endured a lot. I really thought we would get to that level much sooner, but tropical storms, hurricanes, wildfires in the mountains, and then a pandemic. But we've endured it all and we've continued to prosper. But it is because of the relationships that we have amongst ourselves with the farm groups, the commodity groups, the department, our university system. Those partnerships are what make us successful. And I thank Farm Bureau for the wonderful partnerships that we have and the things that we do. Outside of being a thief, you did steal my legislative liaison, Laura Killian, so I'd have to say you were very smart for doing it, but it did hurt. But it does point out one of the weaknesses that we have right now, and I'm trying to address it legislatively, and that's salary levels for employees. Now, I still have the best staff that anybody could be trying to assemble, and I am very blessed. The problem is I just don't have enough of them anymore. We have over 300 open positions in the department. And I've had a rule for a long time that if we don't keep human resources and the budget fully staffed, then we're in trouble. Well, I lost my human resources director and several of the employees. I lost my chief budget person. I lost my controller. So we have been scrambling and still are and will be until there is a budget and there's some help with salary for the Department of Ag. But I know you must be feeding good food today. I've got a lot of staff here. And I do want to publicly thank them again for everything they do every day for North Carolina. So if my staff would stand up, I would appreciate it. We've reached that $100 billion milestone, and I guess the question is, where do we go from here? We have continually got to strive to continue to grow agriculture and agribusiness in North Carolina, but I'm going to tell you something that I'm afraid of. I'm afraid we have grabbed the low-hanging fruit. And the reason being the changes that North Carolina is going through right now are going to impact every one of us that are in agriculture and agribusiness in North Carolina. The rapid growth in population that we are seeing is taking farmland and forest land every day in this state, and there's very few counties that are immune from this happening, but it's especially happening, you know, you would think it's Wake County and Mecklenburg County. I'm from Guilford County, Forsyth County, and the list goes on where these major metropolitan areas are, but it's spread out. It's primarily now counties surrounding these major metropolitan areas. Johnston County comes to mind for Wake County. Alamance County is exploding with growth there, but here are the figures. Raleigh ranks #2 in the nation as far as cities adding population. Charlotte ranks #6. North Carolina ranks #3 overall. So we've got to adjust to that. That means that there are going to be infrastructure problems. There certainly is going to be less resources available to us in agriculture. So the Farmland Preservation Program that we have has, the importance of it has become greatly magnified with what's going on. People ask me, what keeps me up at night? that keeps me up at night. And I guess because I've experienced it living in the shadows of Greensboro my whole life and farming there. And to give you an example, in 2004, when I was still farming in a pretty big way and before becoming elected, I was operating 11 farms right there in my community. And the total was about probably 1,100 acres. Today, 6 of those farms are on the rooftops. It's happened that fast. And it's happening, all across the state. And it becomes problematic, not only with the disappearance of land, but trying to move a piece of equipment up and down the road. And the dangers involved with that and the extra time that it takes, that's there and it's going to continue to be there. So we have got to work to protect these natural resources in North Carolina. Along with that becomes possibly a shortage of some things that we take for granted every day. Water. I think back to 2007, 2011, Mitch Peel's shaking his head, and the shortage of water that occurred in North Carolina, particularly drinking water for major municipalities. We in agriculture had to prove that we were not the big users of water. It's the people that flush the toilets, water the lawns, do the washing, wash the cars. They're the big users of water, but when you see a big irrigation system running, you assume, if you're the public, that we're the ones taking all the water. So we've moved the millions of people into North Carolina, going to move millions more. How many drinking water reservoirs have we built in the past 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? The number is 0. So where's the water going to come from? I know in Guilford County, they went on an expedition to build a reservoir called the Roundaman Dam. And between the inception and permitting and the construction, it took 20 years to get that water coming out of that reservoir. So where are we in North Carolina water-wise if we have a drought? Not very good. Those are the things that are ahead of us. But if we don't have these natural resources to farm, we're dead in the water. So we have got to work every day to make sure that we are singing the song about our importance, the importance of natural resources to us, and that's got to be ingrained in state policy. What my experience is that the states that have robust farmland preservation programs are the ones that have already lost the farmland. New York woke up one day and they figured out if they didn't preserve the farmland in upstate New York, that New York City was not going to have clean drinking water. They have a robust program. Ohio, Pennsylvania, they've got robust programs, but they have lost their farmland. So we can't let North Carolina become that. The part of this attraction to North Carolina is the green and growing part of this state. From the mountains to the coast, the forests, the farming, that's got to continue. So that is one of the major issues that I see that we're going to have to address if we're going to continue to grow in North Carolina. There's one major thing that I wanted to bring up today, and I know there is the Yadkin River Basin study going on, and what impact will that have on ag and rural North Carolina? I am a fierce defender of private property rights, and quite frankly, I think it was around 2007 and 8, I think we went to sleep, because now we have the watershed programs, especially on the rivers that are leading into the major metropolitan areas. Lake Jordan is one of them, Falls of the Newth is another. But what happened was there are really easements on your property if you have a creek or a branch, and it runs into a contributory that goes into these watersheds. We've had some problems here lately with especially with managing forestry. There are tree cutting provisions in these easements that prevent you from basically managing what is your property. The Fifth Amendment to the Constitution says that the government can't take private property without just compensation. These watershed rules were put in without compensation to the landowner. So all I'm saying is pay attention to what's going on. And make sure that your rights as a citizen aren't trampled on in the process. But what's happening in a lot of cases, a farmer or landowner goes in to harvest trees, and the logger gets in the wrong place, takes some trees out, and then DEQ is putting out fines that are absolutely ridiculous. We have addressed part of that in the Farm Act with the clause that says that fine can't exceed the value of the timber that was cut. Now that helps, but you still lost your trees. So I'm just saying, let's all look at that, and when you have a committee meeting, if it's this afternoon, get the information and discuss it. Many of you have called, I'm sure, Farm Bureau and the department about the settlement of the tobacco suit that is in the process, and it's a mess. That's putting it lightly. When you have people from California handling claims about tobacco, you can figure it's a mess right up front, and it is. So we'll see how all of this plays out in the end, but there's a U.S. bankruptcy judge that is handling all of this, and quite frankly, they don't have God's power, but they ain't far behind. So we've got to work our way through that one too. So let's continue to work together, be partners. I'm very optimistic about what we can do in ag in North Carolina, and I'm optimistic about the state of North Carolina if we have some smart growth and if we put as a priority the natural resources that agriculture and agribusiness have to be successful in North Carolina. I appreciate this opportunity to be here today. As always, I'm from the government, and I'm here to help you, so call us. Thank you.